I'm going to start by showing you Coca-Cola's ad campaign for 2013 that they just introduced this year to combat the negativity that's been surrounding the soda industry. So let's take a look.
For over 125 years, we've been bringing people together. Today, we'd like people to come together on something that concerns all of us: obesity. The long-term health of our families and the country is at stake. And as the nation's leading beverage company, we can play an important role. Across our portfolio of more than 650 beverages, we now offer over 180 low and no-calorie choices. And most of our full-calorie beverages now have low or no-calorie versions. Over the last 15 years, this has helped reduce the average calories per serving across our industry's products in the U.S. by about 22%. We've created smaller, portion-controlled sizes for our most popular drinks, and we'll have them in about 90% of the country by the end of this year. We've added the calorie content of all our beverages on the front to help make it even easier for people to make informed decisions. For elementary, middle, and high schools, our industry has voluntarily changed its offerings to primarily waters, juices, and low and no-calorie options. This has helped reduce the calories from our industry's beverages in those schools by 90% since 2004. We support programs like the Boys and Girls Club.
So I know this ad may be very convincing in making us believe that Coca-Cola has the solution to the obesity epidemic in America. However, can we really truly believe everything that they said and all of their claims that they made? Well, I suggest that we investigate. Now, consider this. Euromonitor, a market research firm, says that the average American intakes 165 liters of soda a year, which is about 82 of these bottles. Now, in 1 liter, there's 400 to 500 calories, which means that in a year we're consuming 66,000 calories, or 18 pounds. Now just think of what could happen if we reduce our soda consumption or sugar-sweet beverage consumption. And consider that this information in light of that Coca-Cola ad. It seems to be a little contradicting. So when I was a kid, I was totally loved soda, had it at every meal, and it's just what I grew up with. It's what I knew. But then I started to learn the health effects, and I decided to gradually reduce my intake, and today I only drink water, coffee, or some tea. So I'm urging you to do the same and really evaluate, what do you eat on a daily basis? What kind of sugars are you intaking? It could be hidden in all of your products. And think about it in terms of what the American Heart Association recommends the daily added sugar amount in your diet to be and how much you consume. So American women should have no more than 6 teaspoons, while American men should have no more than 9 teaspoons of added sugar in their diet a day. But a 20-ounce bottle of soda has about 15 to 18 teaspoons of sugar in just one bottle. So think about, if you're having 5 or 6 bottles of regular soda a day, what that's doing to your diet and how it's deteriorating your health. So I'm urging you to take a stand against the obesity epidemic and try and reduce your sugar consumption in order to have a better life and a life for your children and your families. We always hear on the media and the news, bad soda, rising obesity epidemic, and we know all the facts essentially. We know that sugar is, or an added sugar is bad for us, but we do continue to still buy it, and soda is the #1 consumed non-alcoholic beverage in America. So why is this? Why are we ignoring the facts and not preserving our health like we should? We must become conscious and knowledgeable consumers and not rely on the corporation to have to tell us. We need to tell ourselves and provide that change ourselves. So there's so many health-related studies contributed and connected with soda and sugar-sweet beverage consumption. A journal, Diabetes Care, in 2010 released a study that said the higher consumption of sweet sugar beverages is associated with development of metabolic syndrome and type 2 diabetes. And people who consume 1 to 2 servings of sugar-sweet beverages a day are 26% more likely to get type 2 diabetes. It's also been linked, an article in Fox News very recently, I think January of this year, said that there is a link between soda and sugar and depression. And that could be because when you eat a lot of it, you may become overweight or obese, which would link to depression. The results aren't conclusive, but there was that link, which is of concern. And it's also been linked to tooth decay and rot, and it doesn't have any nutrients except for sugar, so it's not providing children with any calcium or anything like that. So the extent of this problem essentially goes across the United States and across generations and children and everyone. But we can see that the obesity has risen from, in 20 years, a dramatic amount. In 1990, there were no states that had over 20% obesity, and today there are only states that have 20% obesity or more, which is just an astonishing amount. The American Heart Association says that between 1970 and 2005, the amount of availability of added sugars increased by 19%. And our serving sizes continue to grow as well. In 1950, a serving size of soda was 6.5 ounces, which is half of a 12-ounce can of soda today. And a normal bottle of soda today is considered to be 20 ounces or more. So that is the growth of that is astonishing as well. And those statistics were reported in Harvard School of Public Health. The people who this affects the most, obviously it's affecting adults and children alike. Now let's dive right into how we can solve this problem and work towards a healthier lifestyle. First, the key is not to dive for those artificial sweeteners and start replacing them with all the sugar that you would have put in everything. You want to really just take gradual steps in reducing your sugar and artificial sweetener intake, because we don't really know how those can long-term affect us in our health and our life. So we want to make all natural choices. So think about your beverage consumption first and foremost. So think about all the drinks that you consume in a day. If you consume a lot of soda, consider reducing to just one a day. If you drink a lot of coffee and add a lot of sweeteners to it, then cut back on your sweeteners. If you drink a lot of sports and energy drinks and you're not an athlete, cut back on those. You want to try to eliminate as much sugar as you can to eventually get down to little, very little, or none at all. And your body will start to crave healthier things. Maybe you may find yourself reaching for an apple as a snack instead of those carbohydrate, salty chips or something. So once you define how you're going to solve your beverage consumption and limit that, where those are the highest calories in our diet right now, then we can start to look at all the other areas of our diet and reevaluate those for our added sugar consumption. And that's when you want to start looking at ingredient labels and evaluating those to see if there's high fructose corn syrup, sugar, honey, dextrose, sucrose. All of these words, the list goes on for 20 or more, that are hidden in our food labels, and you really want to look at them to determine if there are added sugars. And if there are, try to, at first, avoid the ones that occur towards the top of the list, because that means they are heavily in that product, because ingredients are listed by weight. So first you want to do that, and then you can start even thinking about not buying any products that have added sugars and only buying whole natural foods. And when you come home, if you want to add a little sweetness to them, maybe try adding some fresh fruit or things like honey or maple syrup in small amounts, so that way you control the amount that you're putting in it and you're not relying on the company or the product manufacturer to put it in for you, and you have more control over it that way. And so now that we understand the seriousness of the obesity epidemic and how it is deteriorating our lifestyle and continues to grow dramatically, even though we have all the facts and things to go on, we're still consuming so much sugar and so many extra calories. So we need to take the action by reducing and becoming smarter consumers, essentially. And I know making huge life changes can be daunting, and especially in the hectic lifestyle that we lead today in America. We want quick fixes. We want to grab that soda right off the shelf. But sometimes we have to go for the smarter option and not the easier, more available option, because a few seconds to read an ingredient list is nothing compared to the quality of our life and what it's worth, and especially the quality of our children and what future generations and our children will look to. We have to make changes in our buying consumptions and habits in order for our nation to be happier, to be healthier, and to give our children a better place to live, and so that they learn the healthy effects and pass it on to those generations.